So we've seen Texas play in this Cotton Bowl stadium plenty of times, but this time it's a matchup with Ohio State for the first time since 2008. Should be a fun time. We simmed this game and Texas won it, but Vegas surely disagrees. So let's see what these guys think. And welcome in Chip Brown from Horns 24/7 and Dave Biddle from Bucknuts.com. Guys, I know you know the drill. You have been through this entire bracket, this entire season. We start with matchups. Texas offense versus Ohio State defense, and my eyes go straight to that run game, Chip. How do they propel this offense to a win against a top 5 rushing defense?
Yeah, no one's really had much success running against Ohio State, and Texas seemed to lose its mojo at just the wrong time, rushing 30 times for only 53 yards against Arizona State after rushing for 292 yards against Clemson. Of course, they had a 77-yard touchdown run against Clemson from Jaden Blue, who was almost a non-factor in the Peach Bowl. Texas has got to get they're probably going to have Cam Williams back at right tackle, but that might not even be enough because he was kind of manhandled by Georgia, and I see Ohio State's personnel very similar to Georgia. So Steve Sarkisian is probably going to have to, do some unconventional things, break some tendency to get that running game going. It doesn't have to be a lot. Last year, Texas went to Alabama, ran 37 times for only 103 yards, but it was enough to trigger play action and get that part of Texas's offense going. Obviously, Texas's passing game is going to have to be on point. Quinn Ewers finished off that Peach Bowl with 3 unbelievable throws, including a 28-yard touchdown on 4th and 13 to save the season, push into the second overtime where he threw a 25-yard dart to Gunnar Helm on the first play of the second overtime. But they got kicker problems too. So Bert Auburn missed a 38-yarder. He missed a 48-yarder in the final 2 minutes of that game, including the 38-yarder on the final play of regulation. So Texas got to figure some things out here quickly, or it could get problematic.
Ohio State's defense was certainly peaking at the right time. They know they have a heck of a challenge in front of them, but this is an Ohio State defense that midway through the year, they were playing good for the most part. Then they played at Oregon. Oregon put up 32 points, and after that game, Ryan Day, defensive coordinator Jim Knowles, said they needed to re-engineer the defense. And they haven't gotten too specific with us about the schematical changes they've made, although some are pretty obvious. And they've been just lights out since then, including in the playoffs. They've, they were pretty mediocre getting after the quarterback through the first half of the regular season. They've been excellent since then, culminating with their 8-sack performance against Dylan Gabriel in the Rose Bowl. So this is a defense that's veteran. And the few young guys they have, Caleb Downs might be the best player in this entire defense. He's the only starting sophomore on this defense. There's no freshmen that play on the defense. There's one junior. The rest of the guys are all seniors and 3 fifth-year seniors. So they are peaking at the right time. That being said, they have to go to Texas to play Texas in Texas. They have a tremendous amount of respect for Sark as a play caller. They know Quinn Ewers very well since Quinn Ewers was here at Ohio State for a full season. And you look at mock drafts, both of Texas's offensive tackles are projected as first-round picks. So we'll see. Ohio State's defense has been getting after the quarterback very well, but they know they have a stern test in front of them in Arlington.
Yeah, you can really tell the seniors on that defense are playing like every game could potentially be their last. They're playing out of their minds so far. Speaking of playing out of their minds, how about this Ohio State offense versus the Texas defense? And Dave, I really could ask you the same thing that I asked you ahead of the Tennessee game. How does the piece together offensive line match up against a really good Texas defensive line? But that seemed to work out just fine for the Buckeyes. So maybe how is this matchup different this time?
Yeah, Emily, they played surprisingly well in the offensive line, in my opinion, against Tennessee and against Oregon. Both good defensive lines, good defenses overall, but Texas brings a different element of, in my opinion, toughness, physicality, and talent at all 3 levels. But especially that's a matchup to keep an eye on for sure. If Ohio State can get a stalemate on that offensive line against Texas's defensive line, that'll be good for Ohio State, in my opinion. If Texas's defensive line gets the best of them, could be a long evening for the Buckeyes. And overall, this is an explosive Ohio State offense that, just like the defense, is peaking at the right time. However, unlike the defense, they've had some ups and downs. They've had, obviously, the clunker against Michigan stands out, but there was also the Nebraska game. Nebraska, an okay team this year. Ohio State only had 14 points going into the fourth quarter, needed a touchdown to win that game, only scored 21 points against Nebraska. Also a little up and down, but the way that Jeremiah Smith is playing, Will Howard's now playing at a different level, but he's been a little up and down this year. So that's a matchup. I think Ohio State feels very confident. Their defense going up against Texas's offense, at least somewhat confident. This is one that I think they have a little bit more trepidation. Ohio State's offense going up against Texas's defense, but maybe just throw the ball out to Jeremiah Smith and the Buckeyes will be okay.
Yeah, the Texas defense played a ton of snaps against Arizona State. Arizona State was able to keep their offense on the field. Andrew Makuba played 102 snaps. Jahdae Barron, the Thorpe Award-winning cornerback, played 101 snaps in the Peach Bowl. Michael Taft, 99 snaps, and he looked like he was, beat up beyond belief after that game in the locker room. I think for Texas's defense, this is the one matchup that I think Texas can say that they have the advantage, is the Texas defensive line against the Ohio State offensive line. They have to make that advantage pay off. Trey Moore, Colin Simmons, Ethan Burke, Barron Sorrell, those guys have all been able to get heat on the quarterback this year, and they're going to have to do it again. They've seen Will Howard before. Obviously, Howard talked about going 0-4 against Texas when he was at K-State. He only played in 3 of those games, but Texas did see him last year. They got a strip sack off of him, also an interception. They're going to have to make that happen for this game to be successful for the Longhorns. I also think that they need to follow Michigan's blueprint and show a light box. Play a 6-man box and let their star linebacker, Anthony Hill, try and handle that run game on his own with that defensive line to add more coverage, over the top of Jeremiah Smith and Emeka Egbuka. So this is going to be a great chess match, the Texas defense against that Ohio State offense.
Yeah, this Texas D may have seen Will Howard, but they have not seen Will Howard with the 10 5-star wide receivers that he has at his disposal. Nobody has seen a unit quite like that. Let's finish here, guys. Chip, just what's the number one key to pulling out a win in this game for Texas?
Texas has to play its best game of the year. I mean, they've got to be clean, no penalties. They had 10 penalties in the Peach Bowl against Arizona State. They can't turn the ball over. And defensively, I mean, they've got to have enough of a run game to get their play action passing game working. Gunnar Helm, their stud tight end, didn't have a catch until there were 3 minutes and change left in the game against Arizona State. That can't happen again. He's got to be a factor from the beginning, and they can't have special teams mistakes. That's what are they going to do at kicker with Bert Auburn seemingly having a confidence crisis? So. It's a lot to ask, but Quinn Ewers did finish that Peach Bowl on an amazing note. He's going to have to be outstanding. He's going to have to be a star, and the passing game is going to have to work against Ohio State because if he's on his heels and running for his life, we've seen that before twice against Georgia.
Yeah, for Ohio State, obviously in a marquee matchup like this, there's so many keys to victory, winning the turnover battle, winning the battle of the trenches, special teams, on and on. But I think from Ohio State's perspective, the number one key to victory is keeping that edge that they've had the first 2 weeks because of the first 2 games in the college football playoff. Because they went into the Tennessee game, even though they're favored by a touchdown at home, they're coming off the Michigan loss, so much vitriol. And it was almost like they had an underdog mentality. Playing at home as a touchdown favorite, they had an underdog mentality. And we saw what happened. They came out angry, aggressive, and didn't let up. Same thing in the Rose Bowl. They were a slight favorite against Oregon, but they came in with an underdog mentality. They had lost to Oregon earlier in the year. A lot of people were picking Oregon to win that game. And Buckeyes came out there, pedal to the metal, aggressive, playing angry, playing with an edge. Can they do that now? As Nick Saban always said, rat poison, can get to you. When everybody's telling you how great you are, you don't want to drink that rat poison. And now they're going to Texas to play Texas. They're favored by 6 points. Can they keep that edge that they've had the first 2 weeks? Because now they're not going there as, that they're going there as a favorite again, but they don't have that underdog mentality. But they need to find out a way to get it. If they can play with that edge, I think Ohio State's going to have a good evening in Arlington.
Yeah, who thought it was a good idea to give Ohio State a chip on their shoulders for the postseason? It certainly has not gone well for the teams in their path. So excited about this game. Sounds like the Buckeyes are also bringing some of their patented weather down to this one too, but it should be fun. Thank you both so much for the great breakdowns. You can check out more of Chip's work at horns247.com for all things Texas football, and then bucknuts.com for everything you need to know about Ohio State.